Well, hello, and welcome to Stop Let's Team Up Those Daring Defenders, episode 15. And we are up to Defenders number 7. Hear me flipping to the pages. This was a fun one. I'm digging this, and for a lot of reasons. I had been digging these early Defenders. One, I love Engelhart's my guy, and I'm a huge Buscema fan. But this has my favorite Marvel character of all time, Clint Barton, in it. And I was always kind of fixated on him being a Defenders because I read these when they were all out. I mean, I didn't read a collection. They were doing trades when I read it. But this is something I had to go back was, oh, wow, Clint was a Defender when he wasn't an Avenger? Because for most of my childhood, he'd already quit. He was, I don't remember reading the Kree-Skrull War New or... I read all that. I had to go back to read the early Avenger stuff with him because he was pretty much... I just kind of liked him when stuff I'd read in reprint and in team ups, and I thought he was cool, and I liked Green Arrow, so I liked the other Archer kind of thing. But this is him in the Defenders, and I remember when I first read the Avengers Defenders War, I really dug it, and he kind of was always my guy after that. And when I went back and read every Avenger, he was always my favorite, even when he was Goliath, and I absolutely adored him in West Coast Avengers. But this is his little sidebar in his career as a character, and it's one I really love. So let's get some of the data out here, the basic stuff, and we'll get on with talking about this great comic. This is Defenders Volume 1, number 7. It was released on May 19th, 1973. Cover dated August 1973. It has a cover by John Romita, Mike Esposito, and Gaspar Saladino. The name of this story is War Below the Waves. Writer, Steve Engelhart, Len Wein. Penciler, Sal Buscema. Inker, Frank Bolle. Colorist, Glennis Wein. Letterer, June Braverman. Editor, Roy Thomas. Roll call is... Hulk, Submariner, Valkyrie, and Hawkeye. I count him as a Defender. We get to see Wong and Klee at the house, the Sanctum Sanctorum, and we've got Aragon, the Flying Horse. The villains are Attuma and the Red Ghost. And there's some flashbacks to certain things, but let's do the synopsis on this sucker from the Marvel database. Running into Hawkeye in the streets, the Defenders engage in a brief battle with the Bowmen until it's realized that they're all on the same side. Explaining his recent troubles and leaving in the ranks of the Avengers, Hawkeye likes the idea of the Defenders and asks to join them. Traveling to Doctor Strange's sanctum, they are informed by Wong that Strange is not home. They are visited by one of Namor's followers, who informs him that Attuma is going to attack the surface world. Going to the beach where Attuma is launching his attack, the Defenders are deserted by the Hulk, who does not wish to go into the water. The group is captured along with the marine biologist Professor Jennings. Taken aboard Attuma's ship, they are separated from Namor and learn that Attuma is working with the Red Ghost and that they plan to use the Ghost's knowledge of cosmic ray and Jenny's marine biology expertise to create a cosmic-powered aquatic army to take over Atlantis. Val and Hawkeye manage to break out of their cells. However, just before they can attack the Red Ghost, he sends Namor, who has been brainwashed, against them. That was a slightly incorrect and way too truncated synopsis. The Hulk does fight for a while, but then when Namor is captured and Attuma says they'll kill him if the other three doesn't surrender, as they're walking to get into Attuma's submarine, the Hulk remembers, I don't like submarines, and bolts. Let me kind of just go through this. It starts. This is a for Hawkeye and the Hulk. It's a continuation from Hulk 166, where they were fighting Zack, and it starts with they're fighting in an alley, and Valkyrie and Submariner find them, and Hawkeye thinks that the Valkyries, the Enchantress from the story Avengers 183 with the Lady Liberators when he was Goliath, and Val and Hawkeye get in a fight, which the Hulk finds incredibly amusing, and then Submariner punches Hawkeye, And then they have a little chat, and Hawkeye remembers that he had left the Avengers in issue 109 because, he had feelings for Scarlet Witch. He did like the Vision, so he bolted. He battled a guy named the Champion. He went to find his old girlfriend, Black Widow, but she's now partners with Daredevil, and that's in Avengers 110 and 99. And he gets even more ticked off when the Avengers offer membership to Black Widow and Daredevil. She accepts, Daredevil doesn't, and she only is an Avenger for like 2 issues. It's all one real quick storyline, and Engelhart's writing all that. And then he has teams up with the Hulk. And then they go off to the Sanctum Sixth-Horn, and there's Klee and Wong. And it's really good. I'm not a fan of the inker as much. I mean, it's still good, strong Sal Buscema, but I don't know Frank Bolle. And it's just a little off to me. All right, I just jumped away to the Google first to check out Frank Bolle. He had a long career in comics. He drew some Human Torch in the 40s, I guess. He did a bunch of other stuff. He corrected Dr. Solo, Man of the Atom, for, I guess that was Gold Key. So, yeah. But it's a fine ink. It's okay. I like an ink. I prefer an inker that adds a little bit of themselves to it, and this really doesn't. It's just pretty standard. Just he's doing a nice polish on Sal's work. There's a lot of good stuff going on in this. Namor's Namor stories is following up on Submariner 37, where Attuma prevented Namor from saving his love, Lady Dorma, and the 4 of them, all head off. The 4 Defenders at this time, Hulk, Submariner, Valkyrie, and Hawkeye, new member. They go to Atlantic City, and there comes Duma. And on the page of top of one page is this giant. It's 3/4 of the page, and it's Attuma underwater on top of his the ship. And all these other of his henchmen swimming in these crabs, and then it coming out of the water on the next page. It's a great shot. I mean, I absolutely love Attuma as a villain, and this is it's really dynamic and great. There's the crabs come out and start attacking the people that were there at the beach, and then the defenders come up, and it looks like they're winning the fight, except Submariner can't figure out how Attuma's controlling all these sea creatures, and he goes underwater to find out what's going on and gets knocked out by 2 porpoises, and that's when he's taken captor, and his 3 friends, say they're going to surrender and they're going to go off, and Attuma's men have found Jennings, the marine biologist they're looking for, and Hulk leaves, and then they're down underwater, and you find out that Attuma has a partner, the Red Ghost, who I know he's Red Ghost, and his monkeys are FF villains, and he would pop up here and there, and he's a mad Russian scientist, but this is one of the only comics maybe a handful of comics I've read with him in them, and I've never been that interested in him as a villain. And I know I've probably admitted this on the show, that is, I've not read all the early Lee, Kirby, FF, and Order. That was why it was on the list when we picked this. I need to go back and read it. Maybe I'll, read 12 issues and then talk about it or whatever. Or just read 12 issues in a row and then move to something else. I'm jumping around a lot. But I'm digging this. Red Ghost is just a really 60s, 70s villain. He's not that impressive. He's just a mad scientist. I like that in their secret base, they have old medieval kind of wooden doors with barred window kind of prison, like a dungeon. Everybody's got a dungeon. And after they escape, Hawkeye grabs some banister post and some pillow feathers and makes a bow and arrow. And there's some more fight scene where they're trying to save it, and then it's a great panel on the last page of Namor just looking crazy, and the cliffhanger of Red Ghost telling him to destroy his friends. So, that's a basic Marvel comic, nothing uber crazy, but I really like it. I'm really digging these. I think it's got a lot of energy. It looks amazing. And want to talk more on Hawkeye, but let's talk about some of the other characters that are in it, and then I will gab about why Hawkeye's my favorite character. And this is after he's left and he's had all these little adventures. Because Hawkeye basically disappears and comes back every rarely. But in the Avengers, they mention him a lot because he basically was an Avenger from 16 to 109. So, all but about 6 or 7 issues of the Avengers was Clint in. And so it was a big deal when he left. But I like Engelhart moving him. He's a great character. I differentiate. The Hawkeye in the movie's okay. I like him more after his Hawkeye series. I think that was a great show. But Hawkeye the comics is my Hawkeye. And Clint's an anti-hero, and it's kind of not the anti-hero. He's just a guy down on the luck. He's a little more blue collar, which I like. I like the everyman hero. It's a redemption. It's always a redemption arc for him. He's always trying to live up to the other heroes. He never feels himself as good a hero, and sometimes even when he's leading a team, he has his doubt. And when he's written well, and I think Roy writes him real well. I think Engelhart writes him real well. Busiek and Netches, whoever wrote. Yep, they both write him well. He's great in Thunderbolts. He's great in Busiek's run of Avengers. And Engelhart and Thomas read him. Each of them wrote him twice. Thomas wrote him in West Coast, but after Engelhart had done it. It was kind of reverse on that one. But he's just a great character, and he's really good in this, and he's a good mix. Engelhart knows how to write the interaction here, is because I could buy Hawkeye being part of this team, and we're about to Strange and Silver Surfer are going to come back, and they're going to make the 6 of them make the core membership of the Defenders when they battle and then team up with the Avengers in an upcoming story. Just one more issue after this. But it's just a really good dynamic. I love the way Sal Buscema draws him. And he's a really fun character. He's just my favorite character. But I really do like the dynamic with the characters in this. I think that it's a good matchup. I think it's a good choice of characters. I think Engelhart's putting together some stuff. But I do want to mention, because I'm going to be doing an episode this weekend talking about Len Wein. And Len Wein scripted pages 8 through 19 of this. So basically the Attuma story is... And it's a fun little story. It's just... we're reading very old comics, and they're very told in a very different way. So, and it's a little wordy, and it's a little more simplistic. It's a little more soap opera-y. But it's just, I really enjoy it. I remember reading these. I think these are kind of like the stuff leading up to... I read these after I had read when Nighthawk joins later on. But I do remember these very vividly and reading them over and over and over again. When our comic collection was smaller and, the most we had was like maybe 50 of something or other of a comic, it was easier to do it. And I'm realizing while covering the Defenders, there's a lot of, this is the era where my comic fandom is really being born and shaped, and it's being shaped by stuff like this. And that when I think of how I would like an Avengers comic to be in my perfect world, how I'd like the stories told, and what content I'd like to have, it's this model. Would I like it done by someone... Steve Englehart's, to me, a great. He's one of the greats and one of the best of his generation, and Sal is too. So this is top-of-the-line people doing top-of-the-line work. And it is a lot of fun, but it is a comic of its age. But the structure, with all its tropes, I find entertaining. There's a history between Attuma and Submariner, and this other villain is turned Submariner into a crazed madman. Who next issue we're going to see what's happening. But, a lot has happened in this 19-page story that I don't think happens in some comics nowadays. And I got to stop bashing. There are comics I love nowadays, including the Avengers. It's entertaining. And a lot of the indie stuff I read, the Ewing Rodriguez Defenders, read it. It's great. But it's just this model, and it works for me. And I like all the flashbacks and setup. It's kind of a nice refresher because I haven't read those issues. Avengers 100 to other than 105, because that's the first Avenger comic I really remember reading, until we get to when Mantis and so Mantis joins and Swordsman comes back. I've never read that stuff, maybe once or twice, where I've read everything between Swordsman joining to 150. I've read that 20 or 30 times. So that's my sweet, that's probably my favorite run of one of my favorite runs of Avengers. And this is in the middle of that. It's the part that we're getting to there. And I remember reading these really religiously and digging the Defenders. We're going to get to a point where I was reading them out of habit, and I think we'll have a different take because I've been very gushy about this. But the fight scenes are great. There's a lot of good Sal punches where people are flying out of the panel. And it's just a well-structured story. It's a lot of fun. I hope you guys are following along or looking back, and at least going on the app and thumbing through the beautiful images and checking them out. But I'm enjoying this. I might do a little overview chat a little bit about what had happened in not this next episode, but the week after next will be the beginning of the Avengers Defenders War. And I'll probably do a quick synopsis, because there's two prologues, one at the end of the next issue of Defenders and one at the end of an issue of the Avengers. So I'll probably, when I do the two prologues, which I'm going to do as a separate episode, I will do the Avenger issues at the same time, and it might just be a little extra long episode.